So as he repeated his apology for breaking lockdown rules, the Prime Minister, in his first address to Parliament since he was fined by police, said that he did not knowingly break the rules. However, that defence didn't satisfy everyone, and that included the Conservative MP for the Forest of Dean, Mark Harper, who says that he can no longer support the Prime Minister. This is what he said.
I strongly support the government's actions in standing up to Putin's aggression and helping Ukraine defend itself and our values. And it's exactly at times like this that our country needs a Prime Minister who exemplifies those values. I regret to say that we have a Prime Minister who broke the laws that he told the country they had to follow, hasn't been straightforward about it, and is now going to ask the decent men and women on these benches to defend what I think is indefensible. I'm very sorry to have to say this, but I no longer think he is worthy of the great office that he holds.
Well, joining me now is the Conservative backbencher you saw speaking there, Mark Harper. Thank you for joining us here on BBC News.
Good evening.
So we heard some of what you said there. Could you just explain to us further why you said what you did, and also the letter that you have sent to the 1922 committee addressed to Sir Graham Brady?
Sure. I've thought very long and hard about this, but I'm very conscious. I chaired the COVID recovery group of Conservative MPs. I took a great deal of interest in the debate on all of the COVID restrictions. I'm very conscious that there are very many men and women across our country who made the most extraordinary sacrifices to obey those laws. And the Prime Minister wrote those laws. He told members of the House of Commons and every member of the public that it was essential that those laws were followed. And if they weren't followed, then that would put people's lives at risk. And I didn't always agree with those laws. I voted against some of them, but when they were passed by the House of Commons, I followed them. And it now turns out, we know from last week, that the Metropolitan Police have found that the Prime Minister, in at least one case himself, broke the criminal law. He's accepted that verdict because he's paid the fine. And we also know that there are more than 50 cases of law breaking taking place at the heart of government, and I just don't think that is acceptable. And as I said in the House of Commons, he's now asking all the decent men and women who represent constituencies up and down the country for the Conservative Party, he's asking them to defend what I think is indefensible, and I don't think that's what a leader should do. And that's why, with regret, I said to him this afternoon in the House of Commons that I felt he wasn't worthy of the office of Prime Minister. And my letter to the 1922 committee chairman says that I don't have confidence in him and he should go.
Do you have support from other Tory backbenchers, any of your other colleagues as well, who support what you've said today and also the letter you sent?
Well, some of my colleagues, of course, have already spoken out and have made their position clear and said that the Prime Minister should go. Some colleagues have taken a different view. The vast majority of my colleagues haven't yet expressed a view, but all of them are going to have to make a decision one way or the other in the days and weeks to come. They're going to have to make a decision about whether they want the Prime Minister to lead us into the next general election and whether they want him to tackle the important challenges facing our country. And they're either going to have to do what I've done and write to the chairman of the 22 committee, say they have no confidence to get a vote on that matter, or they're going to effectively be saying that they're happy for the Prime Minister to stay. And they're going to have to make a decision one way or the other. That's what we're paid to do by our constituents, to reach decisions on difficult issues. So I'm not expecting lots to follow me today, but they're going to have to reflect in the coming days and weeks if there are more fines issued, or when Sue Gray's full report is published, and when all the facts are laid out, they're going to have to reach a conclusion. And I think many of them will reach the same conclusion that I have, but that will be a matter for them.
Do you see that taking place before or after the local elections in May?
I really don't know. And look, I thought about that very carefully, and I accept that it's going to be difficult for my colleagues on the doorstep, but I think the difficulty is caused by the fact that the Prime Minister broke his own COVID laws that he asked us to follow. Not that somebody has pointed it out, So the honest answer is I simply don't know when colleagues are going to reach a conclusion, but a conclusion they're going to have to reach on the same facts that I've looked at. Some of them may wish to wait until the police have completed their investigations. Some may wish to wait until the Sue Gray report is published in full. But at some point, colleagues are going to have to reach a decision, and ahead of a general election, it is only my colleagues on the Conservative benches that are going to be able to make a decision on this matter. It's for each of them to reach a conclusion.
We're talking here, I mean, you said decisions over the coming days and weeks. The longer this rambles on, the more damage is going to be done to the party. Do you agree then with Ed Davey when he said that if you won't resign, he should give all Conservative MPs a free vote on Thursday to decide? Do you agree with Ed Davey?
I think it is true that the longer this drags on, the more damage it's going to do to the Conservative Party. That's why I reached the decision I did after the Metropolitan Police came to the conclusion last week that the Prime Minister had broken the law. I think this matter has now gone on long enough and it needs to reach a conclusion. On the vote that we're going to have on Thursday about whether to refer this matter to the Privileges Committee, I shall look at the motion before the House. I do think it should be up to individual MPs how to vote. Traditionally, these sorts of decisions on standards matters and on privileges matters should be, they're called House business, and they should traditionally be a free vote for individual MPs to reach a decision. And I hope that's the conclusion that the government and the Chief Whip come to when they're asking us how to vote on Thursday.
Okay, I understand that the Prime Minister won't be there on Thursday, but finally, very quickly, you said that the quicker this is concluded, the quicker we can get on with addressing the challenges facing our country. How do you think your leader has done so far on those challenges?
Well, look, I was clear today. He spent quite a long time talking about the threat facing Ukraine from Vladimir Putin's aggression, and I was very clear that I support what the government's been doing on that. But that's a matter on which the government and the Conservative Party, and indeed the House of Commons, is united. So I don't think that is going to be put at risk. So I think there are some big challenges facing the country, dealing with the cost of living and other important challenges, and I think those are best done with a new leader and a new Prime Minister who the country can have confidence in, which is why I took the steps that I did today.
Okay, that's quite a risk, but the Right Honourable Mark Harper, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.